First of all, we will call the roll.
Osbacher, Gavarone,
Here.
Gordon,
Here.
Jeffers,
Here.
McComber,
Here.
Roland,
Here.
Zanfordino.
Here. Let me just explain that Mayor Edwards was detained in an airport, not detained in a criminal way. And so Mike Osbacher is acting as mayor tonight, and so I'm running the meeting here. And we have all received our minutes and had a chance to read those over. And is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, received from the Ohio Division of Liquor Controls an application for a transfer of a D1, D2, D3, D3A, and D6 liquor permit from Howard's Club H Incorporated at 210 North Main Street to JFU Unlimited, doing business as Howard's Club H at the same location. Check of the records was requested and no detrimental information was noted. That's all I have.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? Do we vote on accepting the minutes?
We already did that. You said all in favor, say aye. And so we did that, and then I just did correspondence.
Correspondence is different than minutes. Thank
That's
you.
correct.
Okay, so now it's time for official reports. Mr. Osbacher.
Nothing to report from the mayor's office. Thankfully, been quiet in his absence. Just to clarify, Mayor Edwards' absence today, he was scheduled to be back in town, but unfortunately his flight back was delayed. So due to matters out of his control, he's not able to be with us, and I'm sure that he would certainly rather be here this evening. Just a couple of things. Council business, I would like to draw attention just to a couple upcoming events on council schedule. On February 29th, 2016, as you're all aware, council will be meeting at 5 p.m. in council chambers to conduct a strategic work session along with administration officials. So we want to make sure that we get that placed on our schedules. And also on March 21st at 6 p.m., again in these chambers, we will be conducting a committee of the whole meeting where the Wood County Health District will present a bit of a preview of the process of the upcoming 5-year housing survey. So we'll hear from them that evening on what their process will entail. From the mayor's office, I have been asked to seek your consideration and hopefully approval of a appointment to the city's Zoning Board of Appeals. The mayor is requesting that you consider the appointment of Jonathan Jagabowski to replace Sandy Milliken, who recently resigned from the committee due to her move from the city. Sandy has served on the board since 2011. Jonathan works for the CMC Group as the division leader for Smart Solve Industries. He received an undergraduate degree from BGSU and a master's degree in public policy from Georgetown University. He resides on West Mary Street, and his term would be effective, if approved, immediately and expire on May 31st, 2019. So on behalf of Mayor Edwards, I would ask that you consider this appointment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you. And the municipal administrator, Mrs. Treader.
Good evening. First, I'd like to point out to you that not only do we have WBGU recording to be on television, but also on YouTube now. You can go and find us on YouTube via the city's website. There's a link on the website and also under City Council. So we thank WBGU-TV for helping us to make that link. Jennifer Karches, who works there, was very persistent in helping us to make that connection, and we think it's a great way for the citizens also to connect and see the business that's coming before City Council each week. Quick update about East Wooster Street. As we've mentioned, I think previously, the survey section has closed, and we are doing a final wrap-up meeting on that portion of the project to get the survey results. As soon as we have those finalized, we will pass those on to council, and then perhaps on the 29th, we can be talking about next steps in terms of that project. We are pleased to announce that we are getting 2 new transit vehicles via a grant funding. Those were expected to arrive in July. However, they're actually running early, and we'll get them within the next month. So good news. We often get news that things are delayed. So when they're early, we feel like we should mention those as well. And finally, our economic development visits are ongoing. The mayor and Sue Clark and our Reinvestment Housing Council group has been going around to various industries, manufacturers, others throughout the city, and talking with those folks. I would say, Sue, that generally good news that we're hearing. We're hearing, upbeat information from those folks, and it's just a really valuable time to hear feedback about our public utilities and also just talk about other issues that are impacting them as employers or issues they may be having within the city and help us resolve those. So that completes my report this evening, subject to your questions.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Trotter? Thank you.
Thanks.
And the planning director, Mrs. Saylor. Any questions for Mrs. Saylor? Thank you. Parks and Recreation Director?
Good evening. So this past weekend was Winterfest. I'm happy to report that the sculptures in City Park are still there. And we are actually going to leave those there this week. I think they'll start melting Friday and Saturday, ironically. So Bowling Green Parks and Recreation had 6 events going on throughout the weekend. Some of those were a little down due to the weather. Our Friday night family night hike had 2 families, and I don't blame them because it was very cold. The Frostbite annual 1 mile fun run, we do believe in truth in advertising. And so you literally could have gotten frostbite, but it was only a mile. So I think everybody survived okay. We had about 70 registered. Of those, 54 actually competed. So that's pretty good for the weather. It was 13 degrees at 11 a.m. when the run kicked off, and with the wind chill factored in, it felt like -3. I did participate this year. First year I could participate because I was not organizing it, and I could not feel my legs about halfway through. So, but everyone had fun, and lots of other things that were going on. The horse and carriage rides were canceled. You guys probably heard that. Too cold for the horses, so not too cold for us crazy people running a mile, but too cold for the horses. So, but anyway, so the sculptures are still out there. If you did not get a chance, you can go take a look. Our foundation purchased a sculpture that's in front of the Scout building, and it actually has a piggy bank in there. So feel free to put some money in this week before we break it open and get that out. We have lots of events going on. There's never really a downtime for us. Brown Bag music series has had 2 already. There is one this Friday. The numbers have been fantastic. Over 100 at the first one and close to 100 at the second one. So really is a popular event. It's in its 10th year, believe it or not. And the new Steinway baby grand that we got donated last year is really helping with that. So Daddy-Daughter Dance is this Friday night. So we have a few more slots left. We're taking up to 40 couples. So that should be a good time. Do want to let you guys know that our levy committee met last month. And so a little teaser. They will be making a recommendation to Park Board next week as to amount and timing and so on and so forth. So assuming that Park Board approves that, it will obviously then come to you all for your input there. So we have a great committee, and I'll kind of leave that as part of the presentation to Park Board, but it's a fantastic committee. I will announce, though, because I'm very excited, and I do want to get this word out, our honorary chair is Margaret Tucker. So very exciting for us to have for helping out with that. The focus groups that we're going to be holding as far as updating our master plan, just confirmed that Dr. Shannon Orr with BGSU in the Political Science Department is going to help facilitate those and probably use some students as well to help her with that. So great learning opportunity for them. And we've worked with Dr. Orr before. She does a fantastic job. So We'll be scheduling those with our schedule and her schedule very soon and getting the word out to the community. So we look forward to that. Again, we're looking at doing it in a 5-year increment for that. So the only other thing I'll throw out there is we do have a new partnership that we've been doing. Second event that we've had, we partnered with Wood County Hospital on their Walk with the Doc program that they started. So this time of year, instead of doing it around the hospital grounds, they kind of want to move inside. Don't know why, but so we've partnered with them, and they've come out to the community center, and they've had 2 different walks out there, one this month and one last month. So we're happy to do that, and that's a great thing. So we have lots more going on, but that's the end of my report, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Mrs. Otley? Thank you very much. Is there somebody designated to say no report for Mr. Marsh? All done. Utilities Director, Mr. O'Connell. Any questions for Brian? Thank you. Public Works, Mr. Kraft.
I'd just like to report that there's a water line project approaching. The city had a bid for that project. It's the Manville 3rd Clough water line. The contractor is B Hills Excavating, and they will start around the 1st of March. Not exactly sure just yet. They're going to wait and see how the weather shapes up. But we had a pre-construction meeting a few weeks ago. This would be Clough Street between Prospect and Summit under the sidewalk on the south side. It'd be Manville from Lehman to 3rd, so a very short section there. And then the entire length of 3rd all the way from College over to, or from Manville over to South College, so about 3 blocks of 3rd Street. So that project will take some time to get through it. There's a little bit of rock in some places, and the weather won't be great at first, but it'll get better as it goes. So B Hill's the contractor, and we'll make notices to people in the area. We'll hand out our usual flyers, let them know what's going on with refuse collection and street closures, that sort of thing. So secondly, I don't know if you noticed out on I-75, they're putting up a noise barrier wall. For a while, they've had the concrete pillars up along the evergreen trees that line the Shamrock condominiums all the way down by Carter Park. They were out yesterday starting to put up the panels for those. So I think not only will it help the noise, but I think visually it may protect, shelter some of those areas from the view of the traffic going by. But it'll be interesting to see how that noise is different on days when the wind is out of the east and you're out trying to enjoy a ball game or live at those condominiums. So we'll see how that turns out in the several weeks coming along. And we've talked with them about restoring the ditch along there because there's a little concern of the drainage and how it's going to affect Carter Park when games get going again. So I think as they move along, get the panels up and restore the ditch, I think we'll be just fine. But that's my report, and there should be any other further questions of me.
Brian, on those water lines, are they leaking or damaged or?
No, I think the one on 3rd Street is a transite pipe, and it's an older style, brittle. They don't make that anymore. I'm sure they probably had some breaks on there. Clough Street has had some breaks. And on Clough, you have to have separation between the sewer and the water, so it forces it to go into the sidewalk. So I guess one benefit is I can get some sidewalks out of the utility department. So, but those areas should be improved water service. And the biggest probably traffic congestion area will be Manville and Lehman because the tie-in is right in the street there, and we'll have to make sure we get proper signs up to detour traffic accordingly.
I've got a question for you, Brian, a different topic. All our leftover salt from this winter, will it just sit in that salt shed and be okay till next winter?
Sure. Yep. Salt does not keep it dry. It'll last forever. So what is left in the old salt shed will move to the new salt shed, and then we'll start using the old salt shed until the roof finally does cave in on us. We're going to use it for dirt storage and stone, keep our stone dry for our Durapatcher machine for filling potholes. But we have plenty of room in the new salt shed, and then when we get ready to go even further, ODOT and us have agreed to work together. They're going to bring in their auger, and the advantage of is the height. You can get several thousand tons up higher than what we can get it just by dumping it and pushing up with a loader. So ODOT will bring their auger in and pile it up higher for us. We can probably get about 4,000 tons in there.
Will we have salt that we contracted for but never had delivered this because we didn't need it, or?
Well, actually, everything we contracted for and then some. We contracted for 1,200 tons. We acquired 2,000 tons since the price was down, and that's already out there in the new salt shed.
Okay.
So everything we had coming to us is here, and we've only touched maybe 300 tons of what we had in the old barn. So that had 1,400 tons. Now there's still 1,100 in there. So we're well close to where we like to be already.
A whole
So
bunch of salt to start next.
yeah, I think next year we'll just kind of see what the trend is. We'll probably request 1,200 tons. And whenever you make that request, you can go 90% below or 110% over. This year we just asked Detroit Salt if they'd be willing to give us 800 tons beyond, and they did. So so we'll see how it goes with the salt pricing is the variable that you can't control.
What was the price this year and what was the price last year?
$49 a ton this year, and it was $69 a ton over last summer, and $105 last winter. So we thought we were getting a bargain this summer, and then it dropped even $20 more per ton. So it's going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it is time for the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. McComber?
from the Finance Committee, I have a resolution transferring previously appropriated funds, and I have an ordinance amending and enacting Section 33.04 B and C of the codified ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, relative to pay scales for seasonal employees.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Gordon?
from the Community Improvement Committee, we have a resolution adopting and authorizing an amended Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Housing Policy and Procedures Manual. A resolution adopting and authorizing an amended Housing Revolving Loan Fund Program Policy and Procedures Manual. And a resolution authorizing the mayor of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio, to file an application and execute a contract upon grant application approval under the Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Program as authorized by the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended.
Thank you. It is now time for lobby visitation. If you have, no, council committee reports. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
What council committee reports might we have?
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino?
I heard from Lori Treader regarding, Lori had contacted me about scheduling another meeting of the Transportation and Safety Committee to further our discussion of complete streets. And I wanted to just see tonight what would be a good night. I asked my peers while we're here. Lori, you would be okay with either March or April of the available meetings? The next step, as I understood our discussion, was to try and look at the map that was proposed and maybe even amend that map, but to try to begin to flesh out the map, operationalize it. Would that be fair to say? Is that correct? So that's what's before us. Do you guys feel like we can do that as soon as the first meeting in March, or would you like to wait until April?
We have a public hearing on March the 7th at 6:45.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So, and then on
I
the
was remembering the
21st,
21st, but
right,
not-
on the 21st, we have the 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay, so
Mhm.
on the 7th, we have the annexation
Public hearing.
public
Mhm.
hearing.
John, could we meet at 6 to 6:45 the first Monday in March?
I think that sounds good. Daniel, how do you feel about that? Does that seem like it gives us enough time? I know we might want some more time to prep, but I believe I'd love to get this going. And I think shortly after that, Lori will probably have the garbage rewrite, the garbage chapter rewrite. So maybe we can save April for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Does the first meeting sound okay?
sure, whatever we don't finish, we can pick up in a follow-up meeting if necessary.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So March the 7th,
6 o'clock.
6
yes.
o'clock.
Thank you, Kate.
That would be a public hearing or a work session or
Committee meeting.
committee meeting?
Committee meeting, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Any other committee reports? All right, let's try lobby visitation again. If you could state your name and address for the record and speak from the podium, we'd appreciate that. All right, we will move on to the reading of legislation.
Legislation for first reading. Resolution number 3617 for first reading. Resolution transferring previously appropriated funds.
Mr. President,
Mr. McComber,
I move to suspend the rules and give Resolution 3617 its second and third readings.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. Okay, please call the roll.
Gavarone?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes?
McCumber?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution number 3617 for second and third reading. Resolution transferring previously appropriated funds.
President,
Mr. McComber,
I move to adopt Resolution 3617.
Second.
the resolution is properly moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Gordon?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes?
McCumber?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Gavarone?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution number 3618 for first reading, resolution adopting and authorizing an amended Community Development Block Grant Housing Policy and Procedures Manual. Resolution number 3619 for first reading, resolution adopting and authorizing an amended Housing Revolving Loan Fund Program Policy and Procedures Manual. Resolution number 3620 for first reading, resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green to file an application and execute a contract upon grant application approval under the Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Program as authorized by the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. Ordinance number 8490 for first reading, ordinance amending and enacting section 33.04B and C of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio, relative to pay scales for seasonal employees. Legislation for second reading. Ordinance number 8489 for second reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to seek qualifications and enter into a contract or contracts for consultant services to develop a strategic revitalization plan for the northeast and southeast neighborhoods in the city of Bowling Green. Legislation for third reading. Resolution number 3615 for third reading. Resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio to file a 4-year capital and operating plan for the years 2016 through 2019 with the Ohio Department of Transportation for grants through the U.S. Department of Transportation as authorized under federal transit laws as codified 49 U.S.C. Section 5311 financial assistance for other than urbanized areas.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino,
I move to adopt Resolution 3615.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Jeffers?
Yes?
McCumber?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Gavarone?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Motion carried. Resolution 3615 is adopted.
Resolution number 3616 for third reading. Resolution adopting the Bowling Green Fire Division 5-year strategic plan.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino,
I move to adopt Resolution 3616.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
McCumber?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Gavarone?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes. Motion carried. Resolution 3616 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8482 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing an agreement between the City of Bowling Green, Ohio and the Wood County Regional Airport Authority.
Mr. President,
Mr. McComber,
I move to adopt Ordinance 8482.
Second.
properly moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Roland?
Yes.
Zanfordino?
Yes.
Gavarone?
Yes.
Gordon?
Yes.
Jeffers?
Yes?
McCumber?
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 8482 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8483 for third reading, ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator and the utilities director to enter into a contract or contracts with specified vendors for work that may exceed $50,000 annually for calendar year 2016.
Mr. President,
Mr. McComber,
I move to adopt ordinance 8483.
Second?
moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Gavarone,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Jeffers,
Yes.
McCumber,
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 8483 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8484 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts for sidewalk improvements, pavement striping, de-icing salt, and improving streets, alleys, and other public ways in the city of Bowling Green.
Mr. President,
Mr. McComber,
I move to adopt ordinance 8484.
Second?
properly moved and seconded. Kay, please call the roll.
Gavarone,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Jeffers,
Yes.
McCumber,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 8484 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8485 for third reading, ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to advertise for bids and enter into a contract or contracts and/or participate in state of Ohio or federal purchasing programs for the purchase of vehicles and equipment, as well as the trade-in or outright sale of vehicles and equipment being replaced and/or no longer needed for municipal purposes and declaring an emergency.
President,
Mr. McComber,
I move to adopt the emergency clause for ordinance 8485.
Second?
realize I was supposed to ask for discussion on all of those things. So I guess you had to jump in. Sorry about that. Is there any discussion on this one? Now we can call the roll.
Gordon,
Yes.
Jeffers,
Yes.
McCumber,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Gavarone.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 8485 is adopted.
That was the emergency.
Emergency clause.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Now, Mr. President, move to adopt ordinance 8485.
Second?
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Jeffers,
Yes.
McCumber,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Gavarone,
Yes.
Gordon.
Yes.
Ordinance 8486 is up next, and I move that we adopt ordinance 84...
I need to read it
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Ordinance number 8486 for third reading. Ordinance accepting annexation of approximately 30.934 acres of land in Plain Township, Wood County, Ohio, from HCF Realty of Bowling Green Incorporated. Petitioner.
I move that we adopt ordinance 8486.
Second?
And in terms of discussion, first of all, let me acknowledge that I am aware that when the new guy kind of screws up, it's kind of fun. So glad to entertain. But aside from little silly stuff like that, I do want to say some things about this annexation. And so, first of all, this is the annexation of 30 acres out beside the community center. This is by HCF Corporation, and this is going to be for a new nursing home facility. And I wanted to just say a few things because it's an annexation, it's a large parcel, and it's going to be a significant development. And I want to start by acknowledging that the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing for this, and they have passed this along to us with a positive recommendation. And I certainly rely on their judgment in these kind of things. And of course, we have developed as part of the master plan, our land use plan. And so we are kind of duty bound to consider an annexation like this and in light of our general goals and the specific objectives in the land use plan. So we are directed to look at page 49, and it gives us various questions to ask about a project like this. And I'm obviously not going to read all these things to you, but it was page 49 if you like to look at this another time. But we want to be sure we're asking the right questions about this kind of annexation. And I think in general, as I read over the questions, we are dealing with the important issues vis-a-vis our land use goals. One of the things we are asked to do is to consider a cost-benefit analysis. That's not real easy to do in most of these cases. It's certainly more difficult in residential situations, which is really a discussion for another day. But in a commercial venture like this, I would just cut it short by saying I think that the cost-benefit analysis is very favorable to us. I also want to just mention in terms of annexation policy, because I know some people are concerned about that and asking about it. And I just want people to know that the leaders of the city government are considering this issue, trying to get a good handle on when we look at new developments, are they really beneficial to everybody concerned? So I just want you to know that we are considering that. A number of people have been discussing that. I'm trying to formulate some good questions for that, and that takes a while to. Turns out it takes a while to ask good questions, so I'm trying to be a little careful with that. Also, in that discussion, I've talked to Mr. O'Connell a couple of times, and he's very, very gracious in talking to me and sharing his perspectives on things. And we have to take seriously the efficient, effective operation of our utility system. So as we think about our goals in the master plan and our goals to develop the core of the city, we do want to continue to push for that, but we want to do it in smart ways that certainly take our utilities into account as well. Which leads me to my closing remarks that this particular project, I think, is nothing but desirable. It's not our place to decide how much capacity we need in the city as far as nursing homes, but this company believes that this will be a good project, and I think personally that I'll probably have friends that live there, and it'll be a nice place to go to visit. I also think there's a good chance that I might live there someday, and so I'd like to have a nice facility in my community for that purpose. And then a really great thing about this location is that it's right beside the community center, and I think that's extremely significant. And I think as we think about bikeable places to go, this creates a much broader destination. So somebody might go to visit a friend or relative at the nursing home, and then they might go work out at the community center. And as we develop the bike path that we've started, sort of coming back east from the community center and on eventually to the high school, this just creates a nice bike ride on a nice day. So I just wanted to point that out. And I don't have a great dramatic conclusion to my remarks other than I am happy to support this legislation.
Well, I can just add from a personal standpoint, you talk about living in the nursing home someday, Bruce. Everybody up here knows that I had my left knee replaced in late November. And on somewhat of an emergency basis, I ended up at the Bowling Green Manor for 11 days, 11 really long days. And the people there were wonderful to me. I got some good rehab started that has helped considerably, but it was pretty glaringly clear that the facility itself was pretty dated. And just common sense from what I saw in that almost 2 weeks that I was out there tells me that building a new state-of-the-art facility out by the community center strikes me as probably a good move. So I'm also certainly inclined to support this proposal.
Mr. President, I would like to add that I'm probably the oldest person sitting here as a council member, so I have a keen interest in having a new building ready for me when my time comes. But I plan on living there and bicycling back into town and going across the street on my own to exercise. But nonetheless, I'll get serious here and say that having visited and even family in the 2 nursing homes in town that are owned by HCF, there is definitely a need for new construction and a state-of-the-art nursing facility. The architectural rendering that was shown to us at the Planning Commission hearing certainly did tell us that it was a state-of-the-art facility, and a very secure one also. I was very moved by the representative from HCF who shared with the members of the Planning Commission their keen interest in making sure that the 2 buildings that will no longer be used by HCF on Poe Road, they're moving both of them into one, would be handled appropriately when it comes to selling them. The gentleman said they're not going to let them there to fall apart. They're not going to let them there to be condemned. They will sell them to a responsible representative of whoever buys them. And he added, and this is what was most impressive, rather than sell them to a bad buyer or rather than just let them sit there and decay, they would tear the buildings down and not be a blight to our community. So it tells me a little bit about HCF, and I'm impressed. So I certainly support the annexation and allowing them to build at this site. I think it's a good thing for Bowling Green.
I agree. I've also met with representatives from HCF and seen some of the designs. It looks like a beautiful facility, and I think it's been well thought out. And I think this area is going to be a really, it's going to be a benefit to the community and a benefit to that area and to the residents.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Kay, would you please call the roll?
McComber,
Yes.
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Gavarone,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Jeffers.
Yes. Motion carries. Ordinance 8486 is adopted.
Ordinance number 8487 for third reading. Ordinance establishing interim zoning of I-1 institutional for approximately 30.934 acres of land located on Newton Road, recently annexed as petitioned for by HCF Realty of Bowling Green Incorporated.
I move that we adopt, I move that we table ordinance 8487 until we have the public hearing on March 7th.
Second.
Okay, would you please call the roll?
Roland,
Yes.
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Gavarone,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Jeffers,
Yes.
McComber.
Yes.
Ordinance number 8488 for third reading. Ordinance authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into a contract or contracts with SunGuard Public Sector Incorporated for public safety dispatch, records management software, and associated equipment.
Mr. President,
Mr. Zanfordino?
I move that we adopt ordinance 8488.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, would you please call the roll?
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Gavarone,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Jeffers,
Yes.
McComber,
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Okay, I believe that completes our agenda. Is there any other business to come before council? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.